Okay, everybody, Happy New Year. Today we have Old College Try, the podcast, a New Year's special episode. We're going to talk about what we think are the best resolutions as it pertains to college specifically. We each have two. Peggy and myself each pick two that we think are great places for those of you that are going through this experience. Good considerations to have. Maybe you have a special resolution specifically as it pertains to your college journey. Thanks for tuning in. Please like us. Please share us. Please follow us. Welcome to Old College Try. Okay, Peggy, last Old College Try podcast of 2025.
Well, it's actually dropping. It's New Year's Day, so we could say the first one of 2026. Whoop, whoop. And I don't even have champagne over.
Happy New Year, but I felt so good about our previous episode. I was like, why would I change my outfit? It's my morning jacket, holiday shirt. Like you only get the minutes.
Holidays. You gotta be holidays. I would have had my holiday sweater on, but it's in a box. I haven't had any need to pull out winter clothes in Tucson yet, so maybe I will in the month of January at some point. We'll see.
And it's Hoosier time, right?
It's Hoosier time. Yeah, for people that are watching, I got my Hoosier shirt on, so it's New Year's Day, and they are playing. I should say they're going to annihilate Alabama.
Who would have thought? Yeah, unbelievable. Good for them. What a season. We'll see what we do today. That quarterback, that kid is impossible not to like.
Oh, I know.
And
such a...
and by all accounts, the real McCoy. Like by all accounts, like just like a wicked good dude.
Which is really nice. Really nice to see. And I'm really happy they're playing Alabama because Alabama didn't belong in the playoffs. My other team should have been in there. So that's a whole other conversation.
Peggy, I'm nervous about that draw. I'm just nervous about that draw for you guys. But hey, look it. This is what you got to do.
What? Everybody all year, it was full of doubters the whole year. And then we knock off Ohio State. I mean, what more do you want?
Preach, sister. Preach. That confidence. Know what that confidence does? It wins championships. So, you know what? I gotta take a look at myself. So, all right, Peggy. Well, we gotta kick off the new year like this tradition that we started at the end of last year, and I'm up. Right, I got a artist / a couple tunes for us. This is another one that 2 weeks ago I talked about my Sunday morning playlist, and this is another very, very prominent featured artist. Irish born and raised, Irish American, Van Morrison. Okay, is my artist here, and a lot of, I think, household name songs. I'm going to give three that are not too far off the beaten path, but if you haven't checked these out as a Van Morrison fan, please do. The one that I would say is like captures the essence of my Sunday morning playlist, Queen of the Slipstream. Beautiful song, Queen of the Slipstream. A little bit more upbeat one is Wavelength. Very fun one. I could almost be like a dance song. I know my parents used to, talk about it like that. That used to be like a dance song in their dorms in college. Northeastern University. Shout out Huskies. Last one, Tupelo Honey. They're just more like beautiful songs. Van Morrison, if you're familiar with them, listen to them more. If you don't know those songs, listen to them, please. And if you are familiar with them, listen to them again. It's never a bad idea. So today, Peggy, we want to talk about kind of in the spirit of New Year's and resolutions and all that. Like we each tried to force ourselves to pick like two resolutions that we would encourage you all to adopt as it pertains to this college ride experience, whatever. So that's kind of the nature today. Well, I think we'll be kind of like short and sweet here, but also I think there's some value here. I think there's something that we would encourage you to consider as we kind of had this conversation offline and tried to come up with what ours would be. But why don't you start us off, Peggy, with your first one?
Yeah, so I would say start the conversation. Like if you're married, start the conversation, with your spouse or your partner. That's the first level. Like start talking about this. And you might be thinking, well, duh, Peg, we've already done that. Well, great. You've done it. But a lot of people just don't. They don't do this, right? So have this conversation and sit down, maybe not with your child, because that's the second part of this resolution is after you've done that, then sit down with your child and talk about your experiences. Through my years of financial planning, I had people in front of me that would say, well, my dad paid for Yale, and the other person's like, I worked through college to pay for it. So very different experiences for the parents. And if step parents are in the mix, like have these conversations because you want to do that, get somewhat on the same page Then sit down with your child. This is something you could do when they're younger. You don't have to wait. You really don't want to wait until like second semester senior year in high school. And then you sit down with your child and you can have that high level conversation about what are they thinking? And this has probably come up, right? You've been raising your kids, right? If they're in high school, colleges come up, maybe maybe traditional college is their route, maybe it's technical college, and maybe they want to do something that honestly they don't have to go to college, whatever it is, but then start sitting down with them and having the conversation. I'm not even getting into the financial yet. It's just having those conversations, open, non-judgmental. Like as a parent, this is parenting and not just college. You don't want to live vicariously through your kids. Like hear what they say, right? Treat them as thinking individuals. Some of the stuff they say might be way off financially or something, and that'll be part of my second one that I talk about later. But just sit down and have this conversation. It sounds pretty basic, but a lot of people just never really do that.
But as you do, when you do your best to be transparent, right? And I say this coming from a family. And again, if you listen to us, you heard me, mention this in passing more than once. That like wasn't able to do that. And again, that's not a criticism of my parents. They both came from their own backgrounds and not necessarily both of them, not the best relationships with money and like a lot of shame around it. And it's a dirty thing. And like, so again, obviously I inherited, a lot of that, but we didn't talk about that when we were making this big investment with college, and money was and had to be an important part of this decision for my family, like it is for so many families, right? But I believe that I don't know, emotional growth was kind of stunted as a part of this. It's specifically, again, with my relationship with money, where I had to just kind of figure it out on my own, learn the hard way, make just like obviously look back at it now, like unbelievably stupid mistakes and whatever. But I think, and again, and we've talked about this, it was a great thing. My parents are very open, right? We say, what could we have done differently? We would have just laid our cards on the table. Right. And to your point, Peggy, we said this in the green room. That doesn't mean they had to show me their tax returns and their bank statements or whatever. But I think we all would have benefited if we said, hey, here's what we are willing and able to contribute. Right. If anything, not every family. I was fortunate enough where I had families that or my parents were willing and able to contribute. Right. And then let's look at what these schools are going to cost and let's see what the delta is and have that inform our decisions. I think if we had been transparent around that, we just would have been much better off. I kind of know this now because I've been on this journey with so many families over the last 20 years, and I've seen every spectrum of how parents and families have this conversation versus don't. And not surprisingly, the ones that do it with this like transparent way, they're all better for it. Right. And even if there is some shame around it, like, oh my God, I didn't save enough and, whatever. Right. Like there could be some unpleasantness around that. And it is intimidating and anxiety producing and all that. But if we just like here's the deal, you're going to have a better end result, not surprisingly. So do you have anything to layer on there, Peggy?
I think that's great. I mean, and that gets into the parents not necessarily laying out a budget in your transparency that you're talking about, but they know what it is. So then they're sharing the bits and pieces of that with their child. And you're also modeling like prudent financial decision making, which is just worth billions of dollars for your kids as they get older. I mean, they're going to be in college. They're going to have some of their own money. They're going to make decisions of what they're buying and what they're not. And credit cards are out there and you can run up balances. So you're without even intentionally saying it to them, you're modeling that. So that's a positive.
And,
I would
and,
say
and here's,
yeah, go ahead.
here's the thing I'll just add to that is like, that's where you have this conversation in our software. Let us be an unbiased third party where, again, you just put your information in and everybody can stare at the screen, right? And they can stare at their computer screen, do this in the living room, in the kitchen, whatever, and say, okay, here's what these colleges are going to cost us. Here's the difference that you would have to borrow, right, as the student. Here's what here's what it says we can expect for you to make after graduation. And we tell you just color by numbers. This is an ideal outcome. This is great. This is good. We want you to be cautious here. Right. And again, it's not even coming from mom and dad now, right? Or whoever your, parents that are involved here. This is just the platform guiding that conversation, right? And kind of taking that emotional element out of there. and we can just stare at it and say, okay, it doesn't mean don't add any schools that are, we're a little bit nervous about their financial outcome on there, but we just got to make sure we hedge our bet. So take advantage of
Yeah.
that. It's at your
Yeah.
disposal.
And you know that that's gonna be a stretch, and then you can talk about, "Well, if this happens, what are we gonna do?" Well, maybe it's private scholarships or maybe whatever, you're gonna work during school, whatever that happens to be. So my second one is, it's all in the same ilk, if you will, but it's more getting in the weeds now, is that you, as a parent, you get to start understanding how this works, and our software is the perfect place to get in there so you don't have to do literally massive hours of research to figure everything out, and honestly, you might be getting data that's wrong in your attempt to research. So definitely use that. But there's academic, personal, and financial fit. And so our software, it does all of them. It's made, I mean, our sweet spot is the financial, but the academic and personal fit matter. And the academic fit is easier, right? Oh, my kid wants to study this, and you Google it, you look, whatever. Back in my day, it was the big Fisk book, what colleges offer it. That's not that hard. And one of our experts on our team, JP Schmidt, who does the admissions and financial side and used to run financial aid at USC, Southern Cal USC before Varsity Blues. He lays it out really nicely where I think he says, hey, parents, figure out the academic and the financial fit piece. And then it could be a pretty big list, right? And then let your kids have it and say, okay, have at it. Go look. What schools do you like? Basically, big school, small. I want sports. I want Greek system, whatever, all that stuff. But knowing, okay, academically, it has what they want. And if they're not totally sure, it's got enough variety that they could switch majors. And we understand the affordability piece. That's a great way to go at it. Again, it saves you tons of stress, and you're giving your child, like, you're giving them ownership. Like, hey, you go figure this out. Here's like a whole bunch of schools that fit the bill for part of this. Go see which ones you like. That's just a really great way to do it, instead of going and seeing schools because you've heard of them or your neighbor went or whatever, and then realizing, oh my gosh, these aren't affordable. They aren't even necessarily a great fit. Maybe they're like, my kids would have been miserable at small schools. Some kids thrive at small. So, figure that the part out that's not as negotiable, honestly. The personal piece is that we are so lucky that we have so many schools in this country, and that's more negotiable.
Mm.
So approach it like that way, and then it should be helpful for sure.
Yeah, JP's got such a great approach, right? We've learned a lot from him. It's just like you're helping them, you're providing some guardrails, right? Because again, okay, these, helping them like, okay, these seem to be within the realm of what you're looking for culturally, academically, geographically. And then we've done our homework collectively as a family to say, these are also within budget, right? Now go crazy. Now it's up to you, right? Like you said, I love that word ownership, right?
Gives
And,
them, yeah,
and
and they have agency and they can be a part of it and not feel like, parents are telling them what to do. No teenager likes that, right?
100%. My kind of last resolution here, if you will, is we talk almost every week about never accept the first offer. There's always make sure that you're doing your best to appeal for additional financial aid, additional scholarships. Now, obviously, I'm really talking to the class of 2026 that's in the middle of this, in the throes of it right now, and will be up until May 1st here. But it's important to start thinking about this, even if you're a parent of a younger student here, or a student already in college. When we talk about this appeal process, I think it's so important to have your kid involved, right? Because it is just a life skill that if we get some exposure to it as 16, 17, 18-year-olds, and even if it's more of, we're a fly on the wall type of deal and just, staring over our parents' shoulder here, listening in the background with some of these conversations, seeing the letter that they write, it's just a great, again, skill set advocating for yourself, right? And making the ask, which is a little bit scary, right? I always say 75% of negotiation is just asking. Right. And even if it's not the end result we want, even if we don't get that additional scholarship, additional financial aid, like what a great live at bat that we're going to use for the rest of our life, or we should, right? And I am a natural. I know you are too, Peggy. Like I am a very natural negotiator. I freaking love it. I enjoy it. It's like I welcome it. And I'm always kind of like shocked of how hard it is for some people to
Well, it's not a
even
part of
ask.
our
Right?
culture. It's not part of our culture
Yeah.
to, it just isn't.
That
So
is
I
true.
you're right. Some people, when I'm shopping and I'm gonna buy 3 of something at a fair, I'm gonna say, "Well, I'm gonna buy 3. Will you give it to me for this?" But I don't think many
Right.
cultures that's just standard, but not in our culture.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And it's true, right? And again, too, if you have all these little like victories consistently over the course of the year, over the course of your life, it like adds up to a lot more money in your pocket, right?
Yeah.
So that's and again, I think for whatever reason, you and I are kind of naturally got that gift, but not everybody does. So this is a great place to try to teach that skill, especially in the students that this is a little bit uncharacteristic. And if it's right down their sweet spot, great, give them some enhanced experience. And even if it's more of because we usually say if we're asking for more merit-based scholarships, we're talking to the admissions office and we want the student to be the loudest voice in this, maybe the only voice. Whereas with financial aid appeals, we're usually talking to the financial aid office, and it usually makes sense for the parents to be driving that conversation. But even in that example, just like you said during our break phase, is you still want the student to maybe include a letter about why they're so invested in that school. And even though, yeah, they're not going to get in the weeds talking about the valuation of the business and stuff like that, but they're just saying, I get this is a huge investment for me and my family. We all have a lot of skin in the game here. I'm dying to go to your school, but we need a little bit more help in order to make this thing happen. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That could be really powerful. And again, that's just them contributing towards this massive investment. And again, even if we don't get the end result we want, that's a win. That's a win in my opinion.
Yeah. And I would just say to the point of like, it might not be your sweet spot or comfort zone as a parent and your kids. I would challenge you that being uncomfortable is a growth opportunity. I provide myself that on a daily basis. So not too
100%.
uncomfortable, but it's a good thing. Push yourself a little bit and you're better off for it. Even if you're not successful, you grow. So it's a good thing.
And exactly right. And then again, too, at least I think there's also something to be said for like, we didn't get what we wanted, but at least we get to be like, we gave it hell, right? We tried, we advocated for ourselves. We went through the process. We did everything we could. Again, didn't get the win, but I can feel good that we did everything in our power that we could control. Right.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, exactly.
all right, baby, look at what a year it was. I'm excited for 26. It's going to be the best year ever. It just is. And,
And we're so excited to just keep tuning in, share the podcast with anybody and everybody that you think might benefit. We just have a lot of fun doing this. It's a more casual sort of deal for the two of us. And we just love showing up and being a part of your journey on this. And, it can be a rocky journey, but ultimately, your kids are going to go off to their next chapter. So you just want to make it as what's drama free as you can with teenagers, and enjoy the time you have with them, so if we can help with that, which I know we do on a daily basis for families, we're excited to do that. That's what gets the two of us out of bed. So happy new year. Hopefully you are enjoying your day, and we look forward to a great 2026.
And a happy birthday, Rosie. Let's not forget
Yeah,
Rosie.
happy birthday to your wife. Yes. She has to share her birthday, but a lot of champagne flowing at your house.
You know this. Bye, Peggy.
All right. Bye.
Okay. Thank you for listening to today's New Year's special Old College Try podcast. Hopefully you got something out of that. Hopefully you get to, actually execute on some of these resolutions that we shared. As always, I was joined by my co-host, Peggy Keough, the fairy godmother of financial aid. Today's episode has been produced and edited by Eileen Camel. Please like us, please follow us, please share us. Happy New Year.